Welcome back into Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott. We talked about UNT versus Army the previous week. Now we're going to move on to some more national college football landscape. We're going to talk best bets. You know, sports betting, especially in college football, has always been a fun little subculture of the sport. We're going to talk about some of our locks throughout the week. Josh, I'm going to start with you. Give me some things that you feel confident in going into this week.
I'm very confident in a lot of these picks. I'm going to go with my first pick. Notre Dame -4.5, under 60 points. Look, the Irish are coming off a huge win versus Purdue that's kind of got them back on track. They're 1-2. Arkansas is coming off a very tough loss to Memphis in a game that they should have won. They lost. And so I really think that Notre Dame is going to have a big day. Jordan Faison is going to have a huge connection with CJ Carr. I like Notre Dame at 4.5 and under 60 points. Continuing on, I like Kansas at -4.5. Cincinnati has not been good this year. Kansas is starting to roll up a little bit. They're 3-1 on the year, coming off a huge win versus West Virginia. I think Jalen Daniels has been phenomenal to start this season. I think they're going to have a big day. Kentucky, 5.5 favorites over South Carolina. Lamar Sellers obviously still kind of working back from the concussion. He played last week, but this Kentucky team is sneaky. I think they're a really good team. They could easily upset South Carolina here. And finally, Hawaii at 6.5 versus Air Force. Air Force has been phenomenal to start the year, but Hawaii has one of the best secondaries in the Mountain West. They're going to force Air Force to have to throw the ball. That's something they're not really used to. I think this Hawaii team is sneaky good in the Mountain West.
I got a couple of thoughts. One, I kind of like the Notre Dame play. Even though it's at Arkansas, there's a dynamic in play with these high transfer portal teams that I call the mercenary effect. You know, a long time ago, whenever they would hire mercenaries to fight in wars, if they were losing, they would just leave because they'd only get paid if they won. It's kind of like that with transfer portal kids. They're only going to stick around and be bought in if they're winning. The moment stuff hits the fan and they start losing, they mentally check out. They're not going to play as hard because they're not loyal to Arkansas.
Yeah.
So if things have spiraled out of control for Arkansas, I can see Notre Dame winning this one in a rout. Kentucky and South Carolina at 5.5. I really like that one because Kentucky's going to bog this game down and be slow. South Carolina, a third of the points they've scored this season have been on defense or special teams. The offense has been really bad, so I like that play for Kentucky.
Yeah, I also kind of agree with the Notre Dame pick. I mean, Notre Dame is in that position where their backs are kind of against the wall, and 4.5, not a very big spread, so I do like Notre Dame to cover against Arkansas on that one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Notre Dame's a very good team. I mean, they lost to Texas A&M by 1 point, then Miami by 7, I believe. That's 2 top 10 teams, one of them being a top 3 team, I believe. I think Notre Dame is still a very, very good football team. I love Marcus Freeman. I think he's one of the best coaches in college football, and I think that is a lock, to say the least.
Houston, what you got?
So I know this is going to be Matthew's favorite part because I made the mistake of picking some games that happened on Friday night. So I know that graphics is going to make me an honest man today, so I got to own up to my mistakes. So we're going to go ahead and start off with those. 24 hours ago, I really liked Florida State by 6.5 over Virginia. You know, to me, that was I really highlighted the quarterback battle on that between Tommy Castellanos and Chandler Morris.
Yeah.
I really just thought that Chandler Morris was going to turn the ball over too many times for them to overcome that, and he did turn the ball over a lot, but Castellanos kind of equalized that. I mean, there's a lot of turnovers from the other side as well.
Did they cover?
No.
What happened?
Virginia won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hear the next one.
Man.
Yeah. So, you know, what you didn't hear is before the show when Matthew said he actually agreed with that pick before it happened. So I just want to make sure that's out there as well. But yeah, and really, also for me, Virginia had the only power team that had beaten this year was Stanford. You know, 48-20. And I just needed them to see them beat somebody that wasn't Stanford power-wise before I could pick them over a top 10 team even at home. That one didn't work out for me. The other one that didn't work out was, you know, the last-second loss between Arizona and TCU. I had TCU as 2.5-point dogs against Arizona State.
If you got in on that earlier, you could have got the 3.5, and TCU would have covered.
Well, you see, Wyatt, I was trying to get the more accurate spread there and wait till the end, so that one came back on me. I've been talking crap about Sam Leavitt all season long, and to me, last night Sam Leavitt grew up.
Yeah,
he really did. 27-39, 291 and 2 tutties. He outplayed Josh Hoover by far. Yeah. And, you know, with no Kavorian Barnes for TCU, that became a much bigger deal than I originally anticipated. They just could not get that offense going on the ground, and it became a one-dimensional offense that didn't work out for TCU. Now, the other two that I still have intact, I'm taking BYU by 6.5 over Colorado. Colorado is not looking good to this point. They're 0-2 against power opponents to this point. Quarterback battle still going on there. Not even really entirely sure who we're going to see today. You have to assume probably Caden Salter, but we really don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that BYU is the much better team there. I highlighted this. LJ Martin for BYU, 8.6 yards per carry. I don't know if Colorado's run defense can hang with that. And because of Indiana last week, I had to take Indiana by 7.5 over Iowa. I just think that, the only way that Iowa can really cover that is if they make this game just ugly. If they do what they did to Iowa State, just turn it into an ugly game, I think that, in any other scenario, Indiana's going to cover 7.5 pretty easy over Iowa in that scenario.
You had some bad beats there with Florida State getting upset. Florida State getting upset, and then, of course, TCU not covering. They were winning the majority of that game. And then Sam Leavitt happens. Arizona State happens. Great comeback. They cover the 2.5. Matthew, I'm going to go to you now. Give me your locks of the week.
Before I start, if y'all are betting people, he's 0-2, by the way, so maybe listen to, the three of us and maybe not him. But my first lock, which I'm very confident, I got Tennessee minus 7.5. Every single game that they've played in, they've scored at least 41 points, and that includes the loss to Georgia. I think Joey Aguilar in that offense is just explosive as it gets, might be the most explosive offense in college football. Mississippi State has only put up more than 40 once, and that was against Alcorn State. Can y'all name anybody from Alcorn State?
I can't say I can.
Didn't think so. And I think Mississippi State, they're quietly 4-0, but I think they're a little bit overrated. I'm not high on Mississippi State, but I do like their new head coach. I think he's run things good, but I think Tennessee's just too big of a step in competition for them. My next lock is going to be a team we've talked about in Western Michigan, a team that UNT played and UNT beat. People are saying they're not that great at competition. I think they're a little bit better than they are. I like their quarterback. I like Jane Buckley. They just had a huge win against Toledo, who is the favorite in the MAC, so I'm high on them. And they play Rhode Island. Rhode Island is an all-right team. They have a good record, but recently, 2 weeks ago, they played 0-4 Holy Cross and beat them 9-7.
Cool.
I'm not very confident in a team that only beats Holy Cross by 2, so I'm taking Western Michigan minus 7.5. Then my next lock, which Wyatt would say is a little bit sicko alert, sicko would be Miami of Ohio minus 20.5 versus Lindenwood. Do y'all know where Lindenwood is?
Is that Jersey? Is it Jersey?
I don't know.
Matthew don't know.
Lindenwood, I mean, Miami, Ohio is 0-3, so that's why it may be a little bit sicko, but Lindenwood's 2-2, and they recently lost to St. Thomas. Yeah, you don't know where the school is? It's in Minnesota. They're a D2 school, I believe. They might be FCS D1, but give me Miami, Ohio, minus 20.5. Then my last lock of the league will be LSU versus Ole Miss. I think this is going to be a very sloppy, gross game. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of mistakes. I think it's going to be about maybe 17-20, 20-23 game. I don't know who's going to win. I have a pick for that, but I'm going under 52.5 for that game.
Yeah. I always try to caution myself to not take too many road teams. That's always scary. I always like to take teams home, especially in college football. In the NFL, you can kind of ignore where they're playing at.
They're professionals.
But in college football specifically, road games are always have so much high variance. They're so unpredictable. The Tennessee game kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Mississippi State. And so we're gonna see what we get there. Let me go through mine. I got Duke minus 4.5. I think Darian Mensah and the offense has really came alive the last few weeks. Illinois just got splattered by USC, or excuse me, they just got splattered by Indiana. They take on USC this week. What am I talking about? They're not playing Illinois. They're playing Syracuse. Wrong orange team. They're playing Syracuse. Syracuse just lost Steve Angeli to an Achilles rupture for the rest of the season. Ricky Collins is now their starting quarterback. I've been fading Syracuse the entire season. I think they got very lucky against Clemson. I think Clemson's kind of in free fall mode. I'm going to go with Duke minus 4.5. Indiana first half minus 4.5. Iowa's defense has historically been great. They've been down this year. They just don't have the horses to keep up anymore. Indiana put up 63 last week against Illinois. I think the offense is really good. We got the fireworks going in the background. I'm fired up. I'm fired up here in front of DATCU. I like Indiana minus 4.5 to jump out in this one. Washington plus 9.5. You had to get this number early. If you waited till the end of the week, it came all the way down to 7.5. This is a money line sprinkle for me. I think that Washington can win this thing outright. I think Damon Williams is one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and the public is going to wake up to him this weekend. And lastly, Georgia minus 2.5 or minus 3. It depends when you got it. I think this thing opened up at 3 and it got bet down to 2.5. Georgia's won 29 games in a row at home. I'm not going to bet against them until they prove me wrong. If I'm wrong because Georgia loses their first home game in 30 games, I'm wrong. But for now, I'm going to take the dogs. Does anyone have any comments, any underdogs this week that you think could pull off a big upset?
I don't have any underdogs, but I say if you are going to take one bet, I would say Indiana first half, just because the fireworks, that wasn't playing. So if you're going to take one,
that's good
take
juju.
Indiana first half. That must be good juju or something, but that's all my thoughts when it comes to that.
Any comments on some money line sprinkles, some underdogs that you think could win outright?
I mean, that BYU defense is scary.
Yeah.
They didn't allow a touchdown until, I don't think they have one this year on defense. Last week they had 17 yards rushing allowed. That's ridiculous. I had to look at it twice on ESPN. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, the underdog I went with this week already lost. So I don't know if my opinion really matters on that topic.
Houston, you had a rough week.
You did.
And the week hasn't even started. And you've already had a rough week.
Yeah.
How do you bounce back after some bad losses?
Well, after I went against Indiana last week, I'm really banking on them to kind of boost my record for the best bets this week. They looked incredible. You know, Fernando Mendoza with 5 passing touchdowns last week, so I'm really banking on them. But a medium spread of 7.5, so that's kind of the pick I was most confident in, anyways. And then, like I said, Colorado 0-2 against power opponents this season. I think BYU might be the best team they've played all season long. If I'm not mistaken, the only top 25 team they played to this point. So, you know, we remember what BYU did to Colorado last year in the Alamo Bowl, so I think it'll be a repeat of that, if anything.
It's interesting with Colorado, too, because this is kind of the first time Deion Sanders is going through a quarterback battle.
That's true.
And it's really not looking good.
It has been rocky so far for Colorado in the Rockies. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about what happened last week. Texas Tech wins. Indiana wins in big fashion. We'll talk all about it next, coming up on Mean Green Game Day.